You're listening to the Afro Chi Podcast, a show for my fellow Black female energy healers and the everyday woman who wants to heal her energy in a creative and holistic way. You'll hear from Black female healers who share their knowledge, gifts, and experiences and enlighten you on how to tap into your powerful Black energy to get the results you need to live an energetically free life. If you're ready to become unstuck, find freedom and peace energetically, stay tuned. I'm your host, Kiera Flipping. I am so super excited to talk to the owner of Nirvana Wild today about Yoni Crystal Eggs. You can find her on Instagram at Nirvana Wild and online at nirvanawild.com. Check her out to see all about the dope crystal healing items she has to offer. Here with us today is ShaKara of Nirvana Wild. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Super excited.
Me too.
I am so excited about this topic. I know we were chatting a little bit before, but I have personally purchased Yoni Eggs through you. If anybody listening is familiar with my therapy practice, Core Empowerment, we hosted a Yoni and yoga event and it sold out in like 2-3 days. So we had
I can imagine. It sounded so dope.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. The women loved it. So we had to do a whole nother event like the next month because it was so popular and people were so pissed that they didn't get a ticket. So I had to order 2 bulk orders from you. So I was super excited just for your awesome personality and your connection and just great customer service. So when I wanted to talk about, absolutely, when I wanted to talk about the topic of Yoni Crystal Eggs, I could not think of anybody other than like you. Like who else but the owner of Nirvana Wild to come to us today to educate us about Yoni Eggs. And from the event that I did at my therapy practice, I found that it really sold out really quick because women didn't know what the hell Yoni Eggs were. You know, they had an idea like, yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it go there. Not quite sure how to get it there. So they were just intrigued by the topic. So I know they're going to be intrigued by our conversation today. So I just want to start off. Can you first tell us what the heck is a Yoni egg? Like, what can you explain what that is?
Sure, absolutely. So first of all, the term Yoni egg, first of all, Yoni is a word used kind of loosely to refer to like the vagina, the reproductive organs, the vulva, but it's also more deeply, it's a Sanskrit word that means sacred space, like also referring to like source. It's like the channel through which life comes, the womb. So that's what a yoni is. And a yoni egg is an egg-shaped crystal that is placed inside of the vagina for various purposes. There's so many benefits, which I know we'll get into.
Yes.
But there's lots of benefits to having a yoni egg practice, both personally and like in a relationship if you have a partner. So that's what they are. The history is kind of unknown just in terms of like its legitimacy and stuff, but it's generally agreed that it derives from a Taoist practice from like centuries and centuries ago. What would happen is that when a woman was being prepared to become an empress, or she was going to be a concubine of an emperor, she would learn this secret to like maintain her youth and vitality and like please her lover and that sort of thing. And it was a yoni egg practice, and they would use jade eggs. That's kind of traditionally what you use, but now in modern times we use them independent of having a partner. It's not just like to please a man and for all of these sort of more vain practices that it seemed like it was used for more so then, but now we use them more so as a healing tool, like emotionally, sexually, physically, and it's just a transformational tool that a lot of women should get into, or at least like hip themselves to and see if they're open to trying, because it has some really beautiful benefits.
Yeah. You know, I found when talking with women about Yoni crystal eggs, I found a lot of women were like, yeah, I saw it online. It looked really cool. And I ordered it and I never used it because I didn't know what the heck to do with it. Could you explain to us, like, once you buy a Yoni egg, because they're really attractive looking, like they look gorgeous. And they feel so gorgeous in your hand. Like they're just so nice. But I feel like some people order them and it's like, okay, I got this egg. Now what do I do? So what should we do with them?
Hey Queens, isn't this such a great episode? Be sure to check out the Afro Healers Directory, where you can find healers in your area offering similar services to the guests on today's podcast. If you are a healer, please be sure to join the directory so that Black women can locate your healing services and offerings. To join and view the directory, please visit afroqi.com. Okay, let's jump back into this episode.
Absolutely. Okay, so first and foremost, like one of the first questions people have before they even like make a transaction is, okay, like what do I choose? How do I go about choosing one? So in choosing one, you should, in terms of like the material it's made out of, and whether it's jade or crystal, you just should go to what you're drawn to, whether by how it looks. It just seems like, you know, it's calling your name, like, you know, a shirt you like in the store. Like, it's just, you're drawn to it for some reason. Look into the properties of that particular crystal. If that aligns with what you think you're going to be using your practice for, or what you're hoping to get out of your practice, go with that. As far as the size, I always recommend starting with a large, or at the very most, and it sounds weird to say most because it's a size down, a medium, because the large is easiest to fill. It's the heaviest, even though it's not uncomfortably heavy. It's just heaviest. Your muscles can grip it better. As you learn and as your muscles get used to it, you go down to a medium or a small. You can get drilled or undrilled. That's whether you want a string to pull it out, or you just want to be able to try and use your own muscles to get it out, or get it out with a finger, whatever you're going to do. But once you get it, I'm sorry, that was a long version of how to choose. But once you get it, you can cleanse it. So you can energy cleanse it, like by smudging with sage or Palo Santo, or sitting it on a charging crystal, putting it in the sun. If it's a crystal that was in the sun, you cleanse it, you set your intention. So you say, or just think about some things you might want to get out of this practice, whether it's just getting to know yourself better, opening up more spiritually, whatever it is. So you set some intentions for it, put what you feel is some good energy into it. You can make it part of a ceremony if you want to go that deep. And then you can do a myriad of things with it. You can meditate with it. You can sit and visualize with it. You can dance. You can do yoga. You can go to the grocery store. You can sit and do nothing. You can chill, read a book. It's up to you. The more you move, though, the more you're forced to, or the more your muscles are forced to kind of get used to having this extra weight, and like the physical sort of things can start to happen. But the more you sit and sort of try to connect with the energy of the crystal and the harmony and that sort of thing, the more you do that, the more you're working on the more the spiritual side. So there's lots of things you can do with it. But it's just really up to you and what you're trying to get out of your practice.
Okay. And for the listeners that might be a little bit confused, you take this crystal egg,
you put it,
and you put it in your vagina.
Part. So you don't look at it, it's not just pretty. I'm sorry, that's the crucial part, is you insert it into the vagina, and it's just meant to sit in the vaginal canal, just sort of nestled in there. And you want to work to use the muscles to keep it there, to manipulate it, maybe if you want to go that far, move it around, and all that sort of thing, if you're going to get all that advanced with it.
And this is a practice, just listening to what you do with the egg once you order it and receive it. Like there's some intention. You don't just buy this thing and put it in your vagina. Like it is a crystal. Like there is intention, there is ritual around this practice.
Absolutely. It wouldn't do much to just have it and look at it. Yeah, it would be pretty, you know, you can add it to your crystal collection, or even just putting it in there and letting it sit. That's cool. But unless you're actually going to sit and put some intention behind why you chose this crystal, what you're using it for, what you want to get out of this practice, how you're trying to transform in your life, what your what the energy of that entire area of your physical body is, of your spiritual and energetic body is. Like once you start getting in touch with all that sort of thing, that's where the magic is. Okay. It's really in the energy you're putting behind it and your reasons and your intention for having the practice in the first place.
So for the women that are listening that are thinking like, why the heck would I want to put this egg in my vagina? Like, could you tell them like why should they? Like, why should we as Black women incorporate Yoni crystal egg healing into our practice? Like, why do we need to start doing this?
So I think it's just very important for all women to get very in touch with themselves deeply beyond just who do I think I am, what are my likes, my dislikes, like more so like why am I here, the rhythm of life, like what brings us here, all those sorts of things sort of leads to all those, like, for lack of a better term, like existential thoughts. But more specifically as Black women, I think we just have a lot of stigma and trauma surrounding our womb, our vaginas, sexual traumas that's happened. Like many of us still, it's 2020 now, and a lot of women still won't even call their vagina a vagina. They won't say the word vulva. They don't like the word moist. They won't teach it to their children. Like it's almost still sort of a bad thing, you know, close your legs, like all those sorts of things that are sort of ingrained in our culture. And also just we energetically, a lot of our emotional like stuff, just emotional baggage is stored in the pelvis in that entire region. So if you're not doing anything to get that gunk out and like traumas that you've had in your life, whether it be actual sexual trauma or just something that was deeply emotionally painful or emotionally changing for you, a lot of that stuff gets stored in that area. So if you're not working to spiritually remove it, to energetically remove it, it kind of just lingers and stays dormant and comes out and expresses its way and manifests its way in ways we don't want. So it's just better to connect with that energy in a more loving, healing way, so that way we can give, you know, more of our higher, best, more centered, more connected selves to each other, and to ourselves first and foremost.
That's great that you mentioned the energetic connection we have to our vagina. That's something that I wanted to talk about. And now I'm in yoga teacher training now to become a yoga teacher. So I'm super excited about that. And it's something we covered. It's something that I always hear yoga instructors say when I'm going to yoga classes, that we as women carry a lot of stress and energy in our hips. And I always felt like why women? Like why do we carry so much stress in our hips, so much tension in our hips? And now to hear you talk about just the energetic connection to the pelvis, to that area, I don't think we give that attention, you know?
We don't. And it stems a lot from us just not even knowing just about that connection. Like, so if you think about the fact that the vagina is literally the place where all life starts, like something, whether it's an instrument, even if, you know, we're not talking about like a natural conception, like whether it's an instrument or a penis, life starts inside of the vagina and generally is birthed through the vagina. So it is literally from the place from where life comes. That's why it's called a sacred spot, or the yoni. So with that, it's also the place where our just general creative energy, our the sacral chakra is there, if you know anything about chakras, and that chakra deals with creativity and creating and being able to get yourself out of situations and create new things and changing and transformation and that sort of thing. So it's very important to be able to connect with that energy, because it's a lot of ancient cultures believe or have some sort of understanding in their belief system that that's where your life force energy comes from. So it's called different things in different cultures, like chi or prana or ka, ba, all sorts of things. But when your pelvic floor is strong, it's kind of like a battery. So if you're working to strengthen your pelvic floor, it's like the battery that keeps the flower charged, and the flower, you know, is the vagina, the womb, the yoni. So you want to make sure you keep that connection so that you're always able to transmute whatever energy's coming in. Whether it's something negative, you can take it, change it, make it something positive. If it's something positive, you can take it, expand it, make it something even better. So you just want to make sure you keep an awareness of that. Once you start to open that awareness and kind of pique your curiosity, and you know, just even like learning little things here and there, Googling things, learning more about Yoni eggs, learning more about a Yoni egg practice and about feminine energy and how to like manipulate that. Your manifestation practice, if you have one, is just going to soar. So yeah, it's really important that we understand it more.
And it all comes with educating yourself, you know, from this podcast, like you said, just from looking online, Googling. Like I feel like people are like, no, that looks weird, that looks scary, I'm not doing it. Bye. And it's like, no, like why don't you just like read this right here, just read this line real quick, listen to this real quick, like educate.
How does it make you feel when you have that new knowledge? Like, doesn't something and you say, that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. And with the egg, you can, because you mentioned getting it out, like it can fall out or you can get it out. So you, once you set your intention, cleanse it, do all you have to do, once it's in, you keep it in. You can go to the gym. Can you have sex in it with it in? Like
Okay. So all of that's kind of personal preference. So yeah, you can definitely go to the gym. Some women, like I'll get a lot of messages from like women who are first timers and they're for the maybe first time actually going out and doing something. They're like, it keeps slipping out. It keeps slipping out. If your pelvic floor isn't strong or you didn't have like a practice before, like a Kegel practice or like some sort of strengthening practice, maybe you're not into dance or yoga or like a, you know, regular workout. You might find that it just comes out easily on its own. Even some people who do have like a stronger pelvic floor, if it's been in a while, just natural muscle fatigue, it'll just kind of come out. It may try and come out while you're using the restroom, so you need to be ready to catch it. Especially if you're just beginning a practice, or you could actually just like literally birth it out. If you don't have a stringed one where you can just pull it out with the string, you can literally try and use your muscles. Just take a while, take a few different positions, squat on your back, on hands and knees, standing, whatever, and literally try to push it out with your muscles, and eventually you'll see it'll come right to the opening and pop right out.
Perfect. So it won't get lost, like it won't travel into your chest cavity.
It can. And that was also another thing I meant to mention earlier about just why we need practices like this, because it's so funny how much we as women don't even have just a basic understanding of our anatomy. Like before I was doing Nirvana Wild and got into crystal healing, I was a sex health educator, and I taught a program for Black teen girls, and so I would interact a lot with their mothers, their grandmothers, and it's interesting, like a lot of us don't even know, like you don't pee from your vagina, like it's a whole other hole. But anyway, my point is your cervix is closed off, so your cervix is what keeps everything closed off from the outside of your body, basically. So even though you have a vaginal canal, that's still technically the outside of your body because your cervix is closed. So it can't go anywhere, it can't get lost. There are two little crevices sort of toward the top of your vaginal canal. It can be hidden there, but it's literally just hidden behind a fold. You just got to find it with your finger or push it out, like I said earlier, but it cannot get lost. It ain't going nowhere. I promise you.
Perfect. Because I think some women would be concerned about that. So it won't get lost. It'll come out.
It will. I promise.
Or you can push it out.
Right. Even if you went to the emergency room because you were scared, they're literally just going to take an instrument or their finger and fish it out, and it'll just come right out. It didn't go anywhere.
Okay. Good to know. So how did you find out about Yoni Eggs? Like, how did you develop your practice? Like, how did your Yoni journey begin? Like, because I just feel like you're such an expert. Like, you're so knowledgeable about this stuff. How did you come to find
I'm only knowledgeable about it because I literally just like followed my own interest, and I would just do all sorts of research. But I think I was probably introduced to Yoni Eggs sometime in college. Like I've known about crystals since I was little, but in terms of like a Yoni egg specifically, probably college, but it still was years until I actually like got my own practice. It was shortly after I had my daughter, and like just crystal healing, everything was like pushing me and pulling me into it. So I was just doing all this research and it kept coming up. I was like, you know what, let me try this, because I was like in like my whole not sexual exploration, because that could sound like something, but you know what I mean.
I
like,
know what you mean.
My liberation. I had just given birth. Like I was feeling womanly and powerful, and so it was just kind of a natural progression. And once I found them and just all of the benefits, and I started just experiencing that for myself, like just feeling more connected to me, and like learning what yoni breathing is, and like how to manifest through like sacred sexuality, or just your girl, yes, that's a whole topic in and of itself. But just like learning all those sorts of things like just made me dive deeper and deeper into this practice. And so it's just kind of naturally been easy to answer questions from people. I'm not expert in anything. There's no like sort of Yoni Egg training really. We just all know what we know, because like some of us, you know, like I said, my background is a little bit in sexual health education. Like some of us are nurses, doctors, some of us, you know, we're moms or just women who wanted to get into the practice. So it's just about educating yourself. And having your own practice will teach you more than a book can.
What has been your experience as far as like benefits? Like for somebody wondering like, okay, this sounds good. I want to order one. I'm going to set my intention. I really want to start my own Yoni Egg practice. What are some benefits that they can expect to receive? I know everybody is different, but just like some overall general expectations or benefits.
So there are several, because there are lots of physical benefits, there are lots of spiritual benefits, there are lots of emotional ones, but just like sort of basic, sort of almost everyone, if you're having a consistent practice, you'll start to see some of these things. Like on the physical front, of course, you have like more, on the spiritual front is what I'm going to say. You'll have more clarity about certain things. Like you can calm yourself a lot quicker, just getting more in touch with yourself, being able to like balance what's going on with you, and you'll just kind of start feeling more harmonious, more energy, more creative. You may feel more like I know a lot of women will ask like, how do I just cultivate more feminine energy? Like get an awareness of your that entire area. Like even just having a Kegel practice, if you don't have a Yoni Egg yet, just learning what those sorts of things would do for you. So there's a lot of spiritual benefits, and like I said earlier, you know, energetically clearing out trauma from the past. The more you work, just things will come up. You might find yourself crying or like feeling like you're healing from something. Like those sorts of things can happen, especially if you're consistent. And then on a physical front, which is what a lot of women jump to the Yoni Eggs for in the first place, and then you know the spiritual is kind of just a beautiful side effect. But a lot of women, truth be told, really just come for the physical, because there's so many, especially like sexually, but then there's also like, you know, just healing or working to heal incontinence and bladder issues. You get more circulation down there, fresh blood and nutrients, strengthening your pelvic floor. It is so helpful in giving birth. Even though I didn't have like a Yoni Egg practice before, I had a very strong like Kegel practice, and I knew I had an awareness of my pelvic floor. So my birthing process was very quick. But you can have increased libido, increased lubrication, increasing your grip. That's better for you, better for your partner, better orgasms, because you know the more you strengthen your muscles, the more they grow. When your muscles grow, the nerve endings grow and expand, so your orgasms are better. You're more sensitive. You just better control of your muscles. And even some women say, and a lot of the research supports hormone balance, because just like your feet and your hands and your ears and some of your extremities have reflex zones, so that inside of your vaginal canal there are reflexology points. Just like on the outside of a male penis there are reflexology points, and each one corresponds to a different organ. So the more you like work with your egg and it sort of touches those reflexology points and massages them, it's working to like clear out your organs and balance them and that sort of thing. that's a more of like
Beautiful.
an Eastern medicine sort of thing. But if you could do your research on that as well. So there's, like I said, endless benefits on the spiritual front, on the emotional front, on the physical front. It's just, what do you want to get out of your practice? Yeah.
This is so neat. I am so excited about this because, like I said, I feel like people see them. It's like two things. Like they'll see them and it's like, huh? I got to put it where? Like, no. Or they think they're so beautiful and then they buy them and it's like,
I know.
Now what do I do?
I know. Or I'm gonna do it one day. Like, don't have such a build up to it. Like, make it. It can be a beautiful, a very important aha moment sort of thing, or you can just kind of approach it casually, like, let me see what this feels like. I'll keep it an hour or two here, there, and then once I really kind of get into this, then I'll start like setting intentions and that sort of thing. You can approach it however you want to.
Nice. So it can it go in during your cycle, or you recommend taking it out during that time?
Technically there's no reason it couldn't. I don't recommend it just because I believe, that's a cleansing period. Things are coming out, so you really shouldn't be putting things in, getting in the way of that, interfering in any way. So I suggest just waiting until your cycle's over.
So if you're not on your cycle, go ahead and get started now. There is there's nothing in the way of you starting your practice, and I recommend you guys check out ShaKara. She has a bunch of information along with the Yoni Eggs, and the women that we did the workshop for really appreciated your care instructions. She shows how to care for them, how to charge them, how to spend time with them. So again, I am so appreciative of you for your time.
Yes, likewise. Thank you for thinking of me.
Yeah, who else would I? You the girl. You are the Yoni Egg.
Thank you, queen. And I'm definitely looking to expand that part of the shop too. I've been neglecting it for a while, even though a lot of the basics are still in there. I do want to get more sizes and styles and more drill versions too. So I have more in that regard for sure.
So guys, make sure you check her out. Thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I appreciated this.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Afro Chi podcast. Be sure to visit our website at afroqi.com and on all social media platforms at the AfroQI. Subscribe to this podcast now so you never miss a show.